There's something to be said for starting small, but every business wants to grow and scale to their maximum potential. So how do you build your business empire without sacrificing the very things that made your business successful in the first place? How do you stay true to yourself and your brand identity? Hello and welcome back to the Omaha Podcast, where Omaha's most successful entrepreneurs help you grow your business. I'm your host, Matt Tompkins of True Brothers Creative. Now, every business wants to grow into an empire, but most do not. The reason? They try to be something they're not, and customers can see right through it. In this episode, we're joined by Mike Tyler, who built the Todd and Tyler radio empire with Todd Brandt by following the same strategy as successful businesses. Today, we're going to learn how to build an empire based on who you are, not who you think you should be. I had the honor of being on our guest radio show back in the day. It was an honor not to be on the show. I mean, it was, but the big honor is that I can say that I forced Todd and Tyler to hit the dump button, and I don't know why. I feel like that's an achievement in and of itself.
Yeah, you probably did. It's been a long time since we first met. A long time ago. Yeah, exactly.
I think we were doing we were doing like a parody of a jingle about Johnson & Johnson KY lubricant.
Oh my God!
And you can imagine where that went.
Oh my God! Whole band was in then. Was it just you? The whole band was in.
Yeah, the whole band was in.
That's right. Yeah.
The best part is my brother Ben was there, and he was working some job at average job at some place where they did blood work or something. I don't know, but he had the whole office tuned in.
Oh really?
And they're all listening. And then I sprung this random jingle on him, and but man, I tell you what, Mike Tyler here, our guest, the Todd and Tyler Radio Empire.
Yeah, empire. Yeah.
You guys are. You got your own empire. We're gonna talk a little bit about how you built that here today. But man, I've always looked up to you guys, the way that you guys carry yourself, the way that the ethic of treating everybody with respect and just being kind of staying true to yourself in the whole process.
That's a key. That's the key completely. Be true to yourself, because audience can tell if you're fake.
Yeah,
that's the first thing they can do. They can tell if you're fake. And when we got on, is this the radio one or just the other one we're talking about now?
The radio, yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
so when we got here in '93, we were just who we were. I mean, it was like we had nothing to lose. We were hired from out of town. We didn't know Omaha. And Todd knew more about the Midwest than I did. I was an East Coast guy, so that's the first time I ever been out to the Midwest. Actually, when I first got here for the interview. But we just were true to ourselves, because I've never been phony about that. Because if you're phony, the audience spots it right away.
Yeah,
right away. And granted, you exaggerate certain things in your life when you're on the radio. You know that. You've done radio for years, but you're basically coming from the same point of view. You're not faking it. And we were never told to do anything, except we're just who we are.
And you came in too, and I've had this experience once before, where you come in after like a heritage show, and you've got that backlash of people, and I mean, people who they just don't know what's going. They miss the familiarity. They miss.
We were had you're talking about Otis back in the day, and actually we're Facebook friends. Otis is a great guy. We've been here 29, 30 years now, longer than he was there. But no, there was backlash, but also we were doing something completely different. So it was like we reveled in the fact that we didn't care about what would happen before. We never cared about sling. Like I always told Todd, we didn't kiss the ring of anybody when we got to town. We appreciated Omaha was a cool town. I thought right away, and everybody and a lot of people embraced us right away. But we didn't have to kiss the ring because we weren't from here. We didn't know anything about it. We weren't Husker fans. We weren't this that. We just came in with our perspective on things. And people seemed to enjoy it almost immediately. Hopefully, they did, obviously. So, but there was a lot of backlash. There still is backlash.
Just for different reasons, I mean, but that's one thing that gets tossed around a lot today that we can hit on is that word authenticity.
Right.
Like everybody says, "Oh, be authentic," and then you look on every single platform and that's not. Nobody's really being authentic.
No, that's true.
I mean, true authenticity of just truly revealing your raw self and your. It's almost like just being vulnerable in a way of like. You know what? I'm going to be myself and not hold back and hate it.
No, I mean, we've shared a lot of our personal life over the years, and sometimes too much. I'll admit that. I think sometimes too much. But that makes you more human. I mean, that's what we are. Everybody goes through loss, love, kids, death, all that stuff. So, I mean, everybody goes through that. So if you're not living your life that way, at least with the kind of show we do, it would have been phony.
Yeah.
Because,
And you don't get the respect I think that you deserve from other people in the industry. Maybe I do think that is a thing, and I always question that because people we would bring up like, well, you guys, the Todd and Tyler, they're doing this, and it seems to be working really well. Like, no, you can't do it that way.
Okay,
you can't do it that way.
This is my pet peeve because you're exactly right. You told me before about you were going to bring that up. First of all, ratings don't lie. We've been number one in our demos and a lot of demos for since '97, 3 years after, and kicking ass. So I have no problem with that. The people, and they finally let us in the Nebraska Broadcast Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And
that's kind of surprised that happened.
Well, that took a while, but we had some people we knew that appreciated what we did that were in that building, whatever that organization is. So I really didn't care about that so much, but I did in a way because you bust your ass. We're all in the same business, and there should be a nod to, hey, you do really well in the ratings. There should be that way, but there has been that. A lot of it's envy, jealousy, whatever, but a lot of it's just people don't do what we do. And a lot of people thought originally, maybe even 10 years ago, well, if I could say dirty words and hang out, I'd be number one. No, you wouldn't. People, it's not the same thing.
Yeah.
You have to pick your spots. But, it really never bothered me. Probably bothered me more than Todd in the beginning about the respect from. But we've done this so long now.
Yeah.
My respect is they keep giving me contracts. They pay me well, and I have fun every morning.
And you're in multiple markets.
Yeah. So that's help.
That's proof there in and of itself.
But once again, the audience saw I really cared about. Yeah. Well, advertisers too, since they have to pay the bills. But the audience saw I really cared about. I didn't care if a guy. And it's funny about you mentioned some. I don't mention names, but. Some of those radio stations, companies in this town wanted us to work for them. Mm-hmm. Every time a contract came up, there was a little whispers, hey, hey, it was that kind of stuff. So that was a great assault to me.
Well, and it was funny when we used to go, so we were working for a competitor at the time.
Yeah.
And we would reach out because we were also playing in a band. And you went back and you used to have the local bands on your show for performances. And we would reach out and you guys were like, hell yeah, come on over. You're more than welcome.
Yeah.
And I remember we would get back and we would tell like our managers, like, hey, we were just on Todd and Tyler this morning. And they're like, what, you were? They let you on? Don't they know where you work? And I'm like, they don't really care. Like, I mean, and which is a quality I think that is something to admire because there's a lot of lacking of that in every industry where it's just this mutual respect. And it's like, we're all in this together. Like, we may compete on certain things, but we have to hate each other.
Anybody that's been in radio is a kindredship and a brotherhood. I mean, big party shows right down the hallway. We work with those guys 15 years. We hang out. We say, hey, what's up? So it's you. Of course, there's ratings. You don't get ratings, you don't keep your job. But if you don't respect people in the business and say, listen, I did what you did years ago. I know that. I think it's you're just a dick if you're not. You might not like certain people in the business for other reasons, but if you don't respect, listen. We're all in this business. It's a crazy business, always has been, and it's even crazier now because nobody's working in it anymore.
No kidding. Well, now today I want to talk a little about because there are commonalities in what makes a great, a successful radio show, and what makes a successful podcast. Both of those, the same things, make a successful business. And I kind of discovered this in the process of like doing podcasts like we do for our company and coaching people, and I started looking at this as, this process of like finding an ideal customer and being unique for one thing, being known for one thing, and knowing exactly who you're speaking to, your target listener. Right. Those same things apply to a business. Who is your ideal customer and being known for one thing. And you guys, I think if you look at any radio station even in our market, I think in any market, the ones that are the most successful follow that formula. Yeah. They're known for one thing. If you think Z92, you think Todd and Tyler. Right. You think, Cat 103, you think country music. Right, you think 1620, you think, sports talk. That's what it is. Yeah. And so when going through your career and looking at what made you successful and from day one to, 30 years later, I mean, are those takeaways accurate? I mean, did you apply those intentionally or have you seen those develop? Well,
it's funny because, about 97 or so, 96, I think it was, is when we last time we played any music in the morning was about 96, 97. And we went all talk at that point. And so we were still related to the station because we're still, at 10 o'clock, music would come on. So, and the Z's format is still rock, but it's also a little younger rock now. So that aspect's, but we know who we're talking to. Listen, That's why we called the station down the hallway from us the MILF station, or the girl. Well, they're playing Chris music now, whatever.
Yeah.
We have different names, different. I'm not saying I wouldn't say on the air here. So we know who our main audience is, and that's dudes. And then we always say, and girls that can, women should be women that can are just cool and they hang out, are not offended by stuff they listen to. So we know who that audience is. It's just dudes, of all walks of life, suits, blue collar guys, all that stuff. And I think that because that's what we are. We're just regular guys hanging out. So we aim at that. They sell that a lot, I'm sure. That's what they do. And, every kind of aspect of just a guy's life, basically.
Yeah. I mean, what did you think when you guys were kind of figuring out your recipe, I guess, the formula for like just the roles on the show and interacting back in the day? What was kind of the process you went through to find out, okay, this is what we're going to be known for. This is our unique thing.
That was, Todd and I were on the air together in Pennsylvania for about 6 months before we moved here. And we knew each other for about a year before that. So we got along really well. We're the same age. We made each other laugh, although we have different backgrounds in the rest of our lives, growing up at least. We made each other laugh. So that's all. That was the core when we moved here. It was just us two, and then of course they gave us our news guy Craig and stuff like that. But obviously over the years we've had a lot of different people that either been full time or part time on that show with us. And for some people left for because they had to, or we replaced them.
They were told to leave.
And they were all great.
Which is radio.
They were. Yeah, it is. It's just the way it is. They were all great people, and they still people we worked with in the past were great, and people we're working now are great. And things change, and that causes some animosity sometimes, but we got to. It's still a business. Mm-hmm. It's still a business. So we didn't realize. I think the roles Todd and I took on were just our normal personalities. I was a little more hardcore about things. Although the funny thing is, I get accused of stuff that Todd says because he's a hard ass, and then Todd is Todd is what he is. He's like my best friend, and he just hangs out. We make each other laugh. It was more organic. I know you play music. You're on the radio for a long time. You know that it's a more organic situation. You figure out people's strengths and weaknesses, and you pull on that to make the team sound good. And there's a little click in my brain when we're doing the show, and I'm thinking, man, I try to lead people in certain ways that's their strengths, and I think that it became so natural without we kind of roll with it.
And from a business perspective, I think that's a big takeaway is that we oftentimes we put people in roles and we don't do. I mean, there's a lot of different Myers-Briggs Strengths Finder tests that a lot of businesses do with their employees, but and I think those are good because you don't want you have somebody in one position who's is just big vision, no organization or discipline, super creative, and you don't want them doing your books. You know what I mean? Like you don't want them doing something that's just analytical, process driven. So we put people in these roles or seats on the bus that it just doesn't fit, and then we wonder, well, why isn't this working?
Right.
And maybe find out, okay, where do people naturally fit organically, and kind of build off of that.
Yeah,
right?
for the live show, exactly. Because the thing about I wouldn't know how to sell a radio station. I wouldn't know how to run a radio station. I was a music director years ago, but that's nothing. I'm getting a spam call here.
It's probably Todd. He's like, hey, you talking about me?
Oh, it's just our producer. I'll talk to him later. So you could call me probably about a guest. So so I wouldn't know how to do any of that stuff. So you work in radio, sales staff, traffic, the bosses. I mean, they all do the stuff they do because they do it well, and then we do what we do well. So it's kind of those guys tell dick jokes, and we go sell it. So
we go sell
within the aspect of the actual show, you have to put people in the strengths that they are better at than other things. Not that they can't expand, because you can expand, especially the more you get used to it.
But you wouldn't have the longevity of the success you've had if you didn't have those people in the right.
No, not at all. We're lucky to have.
And I think, and not to catch you up, but I think in radio especially, that's what I've seen as a commonality of shows that don't last and go short term is that they're trying to be something they're not.
Right.
And radio as an industry, I think, is up against that problem big time.
Oh yeah,
with the syndication of everything,
there's less opportunity.
I mean, like my last radio gig, second to last radio gig seemed like the perfect dream job, and it turned out I felt like Bob Saget playing Danny Tanner on Full House, where it's like this is not me. I'm not this, person talking about, is crunchy peanut butter better than creamy peanut butter? Let's do a poll and take calls. That's just not me.
No.
And it just didn't fit,
And you're right. Those kind of shows, I've known guys over the years that had to do kind of shows like that, and they're not like that at all. I mean, they're not that. They'd rather blow out and just be themselves.
Yeah, just be honest.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And they get stuck in that, and that becomes phony to them too, and then they don't enjoy it after a while.
Yeah, it was.
I've heard those kind of shows. I know those kind of shows. I know guys that've done those kind of shows though that also are those guys. They're so straight laced, off the air and everything. I say, well, that fits you, right?
I mean, some people can pull it off, but for me, it did. I mean, I remember sitting there and I was in the bathroom one day, just thinking, like, man, is it because I'm depressed that I don't like my job, or am I depressed because I don't like my job? I can't figure out which one it is. And when I was moved over to a different station, I was by myself, could kind of do my own thing. It was, it was made clear to me like what was wrong or what the problem was. And like, I think we do that with businesses. We do that, with people who are entrepreneurs. They're like you guys, very creative, very passionate, got a lot of energy, and they know they're good at one thing and they want to maximize that one thing. And, so making sure that you're in the right lane, I think is a big thing. And you guys did a lot of things early on, and even today, and even now that you're in multiple markets, but like going after the Huskers, doing things that were like unique to you, made you stand out as like one in a million to differentiate yourself.
Right.
And I think there's a lot of lessons businesses can take away from that too. Like, how am I going to stand out from everybody else in my field?
Yeah, early on too, especially because I mean. It's things they started narrowcasting too. There were less shows like ours. I mean, in the beginning there were some shows that tried to be like us or tried to do their own thing, but going after the same audience. And then it kind of filtered away. Everybody's now there's just narrowcast. There's just narrow thing. This is what you guys do. This is what they do. So that happened a lot. But we, we didn't really sit down. I got a great story about. I always tell the story about the arena. When we built the arena, I walked in that morning, and that was back before they got the vote in to put CHI, at the time of what was the Quest Center originally.
Yeah.
So if you remember back in the day, this had been the mid 90s. Because when I first moved to Omaha, I thought, what a great city. And the Civic Center, it's old. It's a piece of crap. So they need a really cool arena here. I said, I never understood why. And then there was a big vote. And there was a lot of old people saying, I don't want to vote for taxes and blah, blah, blah. So I walk into Todd. We're literally about to go on the air. And I go to Todd. I go, hey, why don't we say we quit if they don't vote the arena in? And he goes, yeah, let's go for it. So we turned the mics on that morning and we started talking about that. Hey, listen, a vote for the arena is a vote for us to stay on the radio. We're going to quit if we don't. We had no other plan. And I always did Todd, I said, what if that arena vote didn't happen? I said, we don't walked in and said, we're just kidding. We got to keep working. So our promotions department put a vote for the arena as a vote for Todd and Tyler. And we put those things all, they were like yard signs all over town. And we just co-opted that whole bit. And that was huge, although it was such a whim. Our promotions partner got behind it pretty quick, but it's such a whim that we wanted to be, although we were anti-establishment, anti-Huskers, anti-Nebraska politics, and all that stuff, we were still for the city.
Yeah.
And I thought that was,
for the people,
I think,
really.
For the people. We were still, I still feel that way. I still think that the town is a cool town. It's grown so much in the 30 years I've been here, and the people are cool. So I think that you can still be both. You can slay the sacred cows, because they forgive you for not liking their football or that kind of stuff if they know you stand for them. You want to be just a dude,
And I think, man, it's making, always trying to make the news, or making, by the news, what that means is not necessarily like traditional news necessarily, but just even for businesses to do things that help them stand out as that one in a million. And because you want to make that connection. There's this argument that I know we've had here in the studio about is it better to be best or best known? And being best known is going to win pretty much every time. So you have to be known for something. You want to be the best, but you have to be best known. And you guys were best known for certain specific things.
We were,
Going back to that kind of formula of like, you have to be, known for one in a million. What makes you unique? And like, oh, those are the guys that did this. Oh, those are the guys that are make fun of the Huskers. And this,
But there's a double-edged sword too when it comes to that, because you still get people that, like, I listen to those guys. I don't listen to them because they do this. Well, that's one maybe 5% of what we do.
Yeah.
But see, it becomes that thing.
Yeah,
the politics, the Huskers, things like that. It becomes that thing in people's brain until they turn it on and go, well, they mentioned it there. Well, I didn't like that, but I like the rest of this stuff. So that's a problem too.
Yeah,
it's a double edge. You know?
It is. You can kind of get typecast on.
Yeah. You can be, and that just comes with the territory, though. You know.
And Lauren Michaels has a great. I was listening to an interview he did once. I think it was like on Mark Maron's podcast, and he was talking about how the people who criticize his show and they say, well, Saturday Night Live, it sucks and it's not what it used to be.
Right.
They've been saying for since it's been on the air. And he said, it's not my job to make a show that's 90 minutes of a great show. It's my job to make a show where there's one thing people take away and they talk about Monday morning at the water cooler. And
that's a great line.
Yeah.
I mean, that's radio too.
Yeah.
You've done that too, but we don't know what that is, but it's that, but it's also different in radio because that's a skit show. In radio, and you used to do your show too. That's the thing you did. I hate the word skit. I mean, you put on.
That's what it's called. It was a skit show.
I know, but I hate that term because I'm sure it's a lot of work for you. I know it was.
Yeah.
But no, I mean it might be certain things with certain people. Like we'll get those emails. Hey man, when Nick said that, or Puss said that, or you or Todd said that, or the call that made my day. But that could be something different for somebody else. Yeah. So that's all that matters. As long as something sticks out.
And that's how, I mean, radio in our market, it's based off of diary ratings, which is all recall, which is remembering and writing it down.
Right.
But it really with recall of anything, if you ask somebody, okay, and this applies to businesses, which I'll get to that in a second, but like you think if I ask anybody, like who's your favorite morning show on the radio? And they'll tell you. And then you ask somebody, who's your favorite, late night talk show? Right. Oh, I love Stephen Colbert. Oh yeah, when was the last time you watched him?
Right.
Well, I don't even remember. It could have been 2 years, and they didn't even watch it on television. They just watched a clip on social media. But it's something that stuck with them, and they recalled it. And for a business, that's what we mean by you have to be known for that one thing. You have to stand out, and it has to be genuine. It can't be we're going to be the business that does this when we don't really believe in that. It's got to be something that you're actually passionate for.
Right. Well, we do that within the show. We turn down things we don't want to do all the time. Guests, just certain ways we don't. I mean, and our boss has been very cool, especially the whole time they've been pretty cool. We had some run-ins back in the early day, but they never tell us what to do. They don't book our guests for us. We do all that. They never tell us, maybe a little too heavy on that. They haven't done that in years with us because they trust us where we're going with it. Yeah. They might not just agree with everything we do, but they trust us that we're not going to cross certain lines, lose the license, things like that.
Last thing I want to ask you here is with building the literal named empire. As you expanded in other markets and you were kind of looking to, because you started doing this is quite a while. I mean, people.
2006, we went into Wichita, Lincoln, Springfield. Yeah. Originally, that was
And how many markets are you in now today?
Now we're in still about 6 or 7. But here's the thing. This, but anything, we've been on a bunch of different stations, and the station just changed formats. So we even forget what we were on once. We were on San Francisco on an AM station for about just a year, which was crazy because we would have to stay on a little late because they wanted another live hour. We were on Montana. We let that to Benstown, our syndicator now. But I'll tell you what's changed, and what you're on the forefront is the podcasting part of it. Because although we don't do a separate podcast, they repurpose the show for podcast, and that's. And it's changed everything in our business because nobody has to wake up at 4 a.m. to hear us. They can listen all day long. Yep. And a lot of people do that. And originally I thought, well, why am I waking up at 5 a.m? I still think that. I said I could do this anytime. But that's expanded the audience huge. Yeah, they listen they listen anytime they want
with the radio.
And it's for our purpose of what we did for providing content on the show made it huge podcasting.
Huge. And like, to circle back, I mean, what made podcasting great is making it great today. Same thing that made radio great. It's personality based. It's podcasts. They are specific target audience. So the people that listen to your podcast, they're the same people that listen on the radio. It's just now you can reach more of them. And
you mentioned, I'm sorry, the syndication part. What was weird about that in the beginning is we were afraid, and we joke about this now. We just say Empire City instead of Omaha in like 06, 07, because we said we don't want to act like we're from Omaha. Not that we were afraid of Omaha. We just didn't want going into these markets. What's Omaha? Where's it at? Blah blah blah. But then it became too phony. It's like,
Yeah.
So you can still do a show at Wichita. We've been kicking butt in there in Wichita for years now, and they love us. They know we don't live there.
Yeah.
They know. I mean, and you know what? And if I didn't live in Omaha, they wouldn't know that either. I mean, they just. It doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
It really doesn't matter, except for if you go out and do appearances and things like that.
With the radio stations flipping formats, people don't know how
you went through a bunch.
Oh my God!
I mean, you know what? By the way, I'll give you a compliment here because every time you were somewhere, I heard you were somewhere because people liked your humor. They really did. I never thought you were given the right platform.
No, I don't either. I mean, like the closest it got was like we thought we were going to get that because we always wanted like a platform similar to yours.
Yeah,
where it was like that kind of rock audience is where it fit the best. And we were on it was 96.1 The Brew, and we were on for 8 months, and we were doing the show. And I remember we had this new your typical kind of corporate manager guy who just didn't get human beings, I don't think, in general.
There's a lot of them
and so
out there.
he would every day would critique us on this. Why'd you do that? Like, because it was funny. I don't know. Why wouldn't we do that? And then I'll never forget.
That's the worst. Why'd you do that? That would. Oh, when I hear that,
we were at the what was the old you guys used to do that for years too, the Memorial Day Bash.
Yeah.
Or Labor Day Bash. I'm sorry. So it was Labor Day Bash. We're down there at the it was at the Anchor Inn, I think, and it was. We're surrounded by bikers and a rock crowd.
That's it.
They're playing the rock music on the radio. We did our last call in. We get a phone call from our manager, and he says, "Hey guys, just want to let you know we're changing formats, and we're going to be 96.1 Kiss FM now. And don't worry though, big things in store." And I said, "Well, are we still on the air?" He said, "Well, we'll talk about it soon.
You got a call down there at that event,
and then they flipped the music." So we're standing there.
They flipped it while you were live.
Yes,
at the anchor.
Right after our remote finished, they flipped it, and all of a sudden, Justin Bieber music starts playing
right away,
and all these people start coming up, going, "What the hell is this?" Like, and I'm like, it was.
That has got to be. I don't know if that guy's around, whoever he was.
No,
that's got to be some
now.
bad. That is some bad programming.
Oh, he was.
When you were doing a live event.
I mean, his name was Rad. So, I mean, it's kind of self-explanatory, I think.
What a nightmare.
Yeah, it was not fun, but I appreciate you coming on and sharing the insight here today. And I think there's a lot to take away. I mean, like with the growth that you've seen, the longevity that you've had, and the success, I mean, you can't deny any of it. And
no, that's the point. I mean, that's the point. And you mentioned earlier, one more piggyback on what you mentioned about the best or best known. I think what you need to do, though, in any situation, you're taking this to business, if somebody does have a strength, and you mentioned that, if you got a manager pushing down and not letting that person be who they are, that's a bad manager.
Yeah,
bad manager.
It is. You're right. Yeah. And there's too many of those in any industry.
Oh yeah,
too.
So, thanks, man.
All right, cool, man. Thanks for joining us today on the Omaha Podcast. Subscribe so you never miss an episode. You can check out all the details and resources for you in the show notes, and we'll see you next time. This is the Omaha Podcast, where Omaha's most successful entrepreneurs help your business grow.